Hello and welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, what you're doing on Monday afternoon. Joining us from New York City, New York, Tim Bontemps.
Hello, everybody.
Joining us from Los Angeles, California, where he's doing I almost said WNBA today because that's what it's been a lot last week. Doing NBA Today work is MacMahon.
Howdy, partners. We've got the little picture of the Clippers practice facility right behind us. You know, looking around, checking out, see if there's any suspicious corporate logos there, and just ready to roll.
Is that the Clippers facility behind you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're in the studio.
Los Angeles Clippers on the baseline.
That's true. Yes. You're in our LAPC studios there. That's their new practice facility that's inside Intuit Dome. We'll get to the Clippers in a minute. Today, we're going to take a look at the Pacific Division. There's some news emanating from the Pacific Division, in addition to taking a look at how that division stacks up. So we'll get to it in a second. Let's start with where everybody at ESPN starts when it comes to Pacific Division. The Sacramento Kings. Just kidding. Just kidding. The LA Lakers, who last season finished the year at 50 wins and 32 losses. You may remember they won some tiebreakers and ended up with the number 3 seed. And in the what was their record? We're projecting them to be 50 and 32.
I believe that was also their record last year.
Anyway, we also are projecting them. Our ESPN projection model has them at 50 and 32, but not in third. It has them in 6th. So in the off season, they had 50 and 32. You were right, Bontemps. In the off season, you will remember they made some significant moves. Number one, they signed Luka to a 3-year contract extension. Luka Doncic. It was they're undoubtedly their number one priority in the off season. They were able to get that done. Did it happen on the first day that he could sign?
It did. Yep. He just paused that had the Jordan tour in right there in LA and was there on August 2nd, signed that bad boy, no questions, boom, off they went.
So that was a big thing for them. They also signed 2 guys who got bought out of their contracts. Marcus Smart, who got bought out by the Wizards, and the more surprising one, DeAndre Ayton, got bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. We didn't necessarily see that coming, at least not when it happened. And he signed a 2-year deal with the Lakers, to be their starting center. And then they signed Jake LaRavia. They did that on June 30th. That was actually their first move, was signing Jake LaRavia, who's it's an interesting case study. We can get to him in a second. So the other thing, of course, is LeBron. LeBron had this situation where he picked up his player option, and his agent Rich Paul gave comments to Shams Charania that indicated LeBron was not really sure what his future was going to be, and then silence. There has been no further on the record discussion from Rich Paul, no on the record comments from LeBron James, even though he was just in China. He didn't have any quotes while he was there that really addressed it. And so he, for the first time in his career, is heading into a season where he does not have a player option or a contract for the next year. He has never been in a position like this. He is not eligible to extend his contract, and he has a no trade clause. So very likely will be headed towards unrestricted free agency. Now, he has certainly been an unrestricted free agent a whole number of times in his career, but has never been in this situation where his team is not invested in him and has chosen not to invest in him past this year. Rich Paul, I think I should just say he told me that they didn't have material conversations with the Lakers about a new contract. That can be a statement that can be taken a bunch of different ways. Maybe they knew what they were going to get. Maybe they expected the Lakers to offer, but it wasn't like LeBron asked for a new deal and the Lakers said no. And the Lakers, according to Rich, didn't come to them and say, here's a new 2-year or 3-year contract. So that's sort of the backstory of their offseason, which is there's a lot there, Bontemps. To me, I'm more interested because I know LeBron's going to be a Laker at the end of the month because he has a no trade clause. I know Luka is invested in being a Laker. I know they have these new players. We talked the entire season last year about how they needed perimeter defense. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith and added LaRavia and Marcus Smart. On the court, with what the team that they're going to have on opening night, do you think the Lakers have materially improved on their 50-win team that was in the middle of the number 3 to number 6 seed morass last year?
I mean, maybe. I would say the biggest argument that they've improved, and MacMahon has talked about this, is that if the expectation is you're going to get a better version of Luka than last year, I think you could also make an argument you won't get as good of a version of LeBron as last year just because he is the oldest player in the league. And while he has defied Father Time in a way basically nobody ever has, there is at least some possibility he will regress. And then a lot of these other guys are question marks. Like Marcus Smart has basically not done anything for 2 years. If Marcus Smart from the 2022 NBA Finals shows up, that's an improvement for the Lakers. If the Marcus Smart, who was not very effective for Memphis or Washington, shows up, I don't think that's going to make a significant difference for them. DeAndre Ayton is probably the best option that they could have gotten realistically in free agency at center. But again, we're damning with faint praise there. Like DeAndre Ayton is also not, I would say, some massive difference-making player. No, maybe he'll get with LeBron James and Luka Doncic like he was the year when they went to the finals with Chris Paul in Phoenix and have a great year. I wouldn't rule that out. But I would say on the whole, the Lakers are probably a little better. I also think one thing that really hasn't been talked about a lot is basically this entire team is up for a contract this season and going into next summer.
Yeah, let me go through it right now. So LeBron, we already mentioned. Yep. Rui Hachimura is in the last year of a deal paying him $18.2 million. He's extension eligible. That could get extended. Austin Reeves makes $14 million this year. He has a player option for next year, which is widely expected him to not pick it up and become unrestricted. Gabe Vincent is in the last year of a deal paying him $11.5 million. Maxi Kleba is in the last year of a deal paying him $11 million. I mentioned Ayton got a 2-year deal, but the second year is a player option. So technically he can opt out and be a free agent. Marcus Smart signed a 2-year deal, but he has a player option. He can opt out and become a free agent. Jackson Hayes, is up. He can be a free agent. All those guys.
You want the shorter way to do this? On the Lakers' whole roster, there are 4 players who have a guaranteed contract for next season. Luka Doncic, Jared Vanderbilt, Jake LaRavia, and Adu Thoreau, their second-round pick. Bronny James is partially guaranteed. Dalton Connect has a team option. Everybody else either has a player option or is an unrestricted free agent. Now, that could work out great, but that also could be a thing that causes a lot of issues, and you have a lot of guys trying to get paid and a lot of guys trying to be in the best situation they can going into next summer, right? So all that's to say that I think for the situation the Lakers were in, I think they did about as well as they could have. Obviously, getting Luka Doncic done is the only thing that really matters. That's a gigantic win for them to get him to sign for multiple years and to be there going forward. But there are a lot of questions, and I think it's going to be a very interesting test to see how JJ Redick handles things. Because, look, I would say he deserves a lot of credit for how they went through the season, and they, with some smoke and mirrors, I would say, had a pretty good defense for what they had. Then they got in the playoffs against the Wolves, and once they got stuck in a series against a team that could game plan for it, a lot of stuff on both sides of the ball didn't look so great. So it's going to be a very interesting season in LA.
But look, the fact that Luka has had a wake-up call and is taking conditioning seriously, is he going to maintain that commitment? We'll see. There have been a couple of times where he's taken it seriously, and then that didn't keep it up, but he seems to have had a wake-up call. There seemed like he was more of a leader during Slovenia's Eurobasket than I've ever seen him be. He's a guy who's been a 5-time first-team All-NBA selection despite constant conditioning concerns and immaturity. If he's turned a corner on those two things, he's always going to yell at refs. I don't sweat that. But if he's turned a corner there and he's playing in the low 240s, high 230s, that's a drastically improved version.
Well, let me just stop you real quick. He can yell at refs, but yelling at refs and not getting back on defense in the playoffs is a maturity.
Oh no, it's been a constant. I'm just saying, like, if he's going to maintain the weight stuff, he ain't ever going to be a perfect angel. But you're right. The rest stuff is serious. But he has shown more commitment and more maturation this summer than he has any other time during his career. And then look, DeAndre Ayton, he needs to turn a corner in the maturity realm as well. There's a lot of flaws there, but they were starting Jackson Hayes at center last season.
For sure.
Guys. Like, he is a drastic upgrade. And I've said I think DeAndre Ayton will either be a long-term piece or a short-term circus fire. I don't think there's a whole lot of in between. And the guy's talented. There's no question about his talent. Is he going to do all the things he needs to do to help the Lakers win? If he does, I could see him being Luka's, not his co-star, but his starting center for years to come.
I will say this. So Jake LaRavia is an interesting signing. They gave him $6 million. He's buddies with Austin Reeves. I couldn't tell you that I was super familiar with his game, but I've watched some packages of clips that some people have prepared, both people within the NBA community and people on the outside, YouTubers.
You went down a Jake LaRavia YouTube rabbit hole?
I did.
You were dedicated.
I did because I thought because I was going to because he signed with the Lakers. I had to talk about him in July. Okay, like, he defends. He can defend multiple positions.
I mean,
and he can and he was a type of guy who will pick up full court, and you can't play him on every point guard, and you can't play him on every point guard for 25 minutes, but he has some defensive versatility, which they were sorely lacking last year. I mean, you weren't letting Dorian Finney-Smith defend point guards coming up the floor.
I'm not going to sit here and listen to you imply that Jake LaRavia is a defensive upgrade over Dorian Finney-Smith.
No, I didn't say that. I said defensive versatility. You couldn't put Dorian Finney-Smith on opposing point guards.
What starting point guard in the Western Conference are you going to put Jake LaRavia?
I'm not sure Jake LaRavia's agent would say he could guard starting point
I'm
guards.
telling you, I was watching clips of him applying full court pressure to many different players, both in Memphis and in Sacramento.
Okay.
My biggest question about
I think Jake LaRavia is a nice player. I would not say he's an option to guard opposing point guards.
I'm curious, will he get a
not
tan
for 25 minutes, but he has some
25
defensive
seconds?
Correct. You beat me to it, MacMahon.
Will he get a tan living in Southern California? Because I tell you, he was glow in the dark in Memphis, man.
I think Jake LaRavia is a nice player. I just think this is an odd tack to be taking.
Just telling you, he has got. When I did some research, I saw that he's got more defensive versatility than I knew that he had. And so the Lakers are in need of that. I'm not saying he's doing it for 30 minutes. I'm just telling you that explains some of the reason why they didn't have cap space to go out there and sign a bunch of guys.
Well, listen, Jake LaRavia at $6 million is a nice value swing, but I'm not going to. Maybe I'll end up saying, well, wow, Wendy, you were on that one. I don't see him move the needle defensively. I'm sorry.
I say he's got defensive versatility. He is also 6'8". He has size and defensive versatility. That's all that needs to be said about him. I'm not going to say anything more about him. I'm just saying I watched some film and I did not know that he was defending 1, 2, 3s, and 4s.
Are you telling us he has deceptive athleticism?
I did not say that. I just said he's 6'8", and I watched him defend 1, 2, 3s, and 4s, which they didn't have guys. They didn't have a lot of guys who could do that last year.
Please send me the clips of him guarding point guards. I got to see these.
They exist. What do you want me to say? So I'll point out something on LeBron. He played the last 2 seasons. He's played 71 in 70 games. He this last year averaged 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 51% overall from the field. His 3-point percentage was 37%, 38% if you round up, which was down from the year before. He did have a knee injury during the playoffs last year that knocked him out and slowed down his summer. So we'll see if that affected him at all. Those are still pretty strong numbers. There are definitely nights when his energy is higher than others. There are nights when he looks old, and there are nights when he looks like he can still completely take over a game. So he is going for his 22nd consecutive All-NBA team this year.
Insane.
So he's made the All-NBA team. He has continued to make the All-NBA team regularly, despite, slowing down.
And listen, I get saying LeBron's production might dip this year. Like, it makes sense, but I'm not going to forecast that because the guy keeps defeating Father Time. I mean, he's not what he was in his, I guess, the peak of his prime, but he's still an All-NBA player. It's insane.
I can't speak to where he's at spiritually about wanting to play longer. What I can tell you is his play on the court is not indicating somebody who's near retirement. Now,
no, he's still one of the 10 or 15 best players in the league. Easy.
He's got to want to do it. He's got to put his body through it. All of that stuff. I keep hearing people like, this might be the last year. This might be the last year. Look, he's been linked to potentially playing in other leagues. I don't know, maybe. But if he stays healthy, I do not see LeBron James slowing down.
Yeah.
Maybe he's tired of doing it, but I do not see LeBron James slowing down that much.
Safe bet based off history.
And by the way,
LeBron's going to remain good has been a good bet for about 23 years. So.
And I'm still on that side of it. Jackson tells us that Luka, he averaged 35 points, 34.7 points in the Eurobasket, which is the most points anybody in Eurobasket has averaged since 1989.
Pretty good.
He was the one guy who didn't make the Final Four, who did make, I forget what they call it, who basically made their All-Star team, the top 5 players.
Yeah.
And he was up, get this, he was one of the nominees for the Best Defender Award. Now, Luka can do no wrong in Europe. And, I saw some European media.
Jake LaRavia would have won that award.
Jake LaRavia would fit right in over there in Eurobasket. But I saw some folks indicate, this shows that the rap that Luka has in the NBA has always been wrong. It's like, no.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, though, if the Lakers are going to be an improved defensive team, I think Luka will have a lot to do with that. If he's in better shape, Luka can be an effective team defender. And he won't have
again
to take
6'8". 6'8" goes a long way. You want to start with being a good perimeter defender, start with being 6'8".
Well, and he's 6'8". He's strong as hell. I've always said one of Luka's best defensive strengths is that you can hide him on multiple positions. He does have great hands, but I'm serious.
I've never heard you say that. That's true.
No, but I'm not kidding.
I like it. I like it.
For example, Trae Young, you can't hide him on multiple positions.
That's true.
Luka, you can put him on a 4 and he's going to rebound his position. Luka can be a great help defender. He's got great hands. He's got great instincts. Luka's always going to have a little bit of trouble staying in front of guys. But, when he's obviously in better shape, it's a lot easier, and he doesn't have to rest as much on that end of the floor. You can build an elite defense protecting Luka, with Luka on the floor. It's been done. It's been done twice. The Mavericks, when they went to the Western Conference Finals, ranked 7th in the league in defense. When they went to the finals, they ranked 1st in the league over the last quarter of the season in defense. Luka has contributed to outstanding NBA defenses. The Lakers need that to happen again this season, and he's put himself in a physical condition that I think you can be optimistic about that.
Well, and the other thing real quick on the Lakers, too, is Austin Reeves is going into a contract year, and he expects to make an awful lot of money next summer. So coming off of playoffs where it was pretty rough against Minnesota, it's going to be a very interesting year for Reeves in LA to see how he does in the playoffs, assuming the Lakers are in the playoffs, as we expect, and to see what his market is next summer and what he commands and whether he ultimately is there or not. That is going to be a subplot to watch all year with them.
I'll tell you what, three white guys and a 40-year-old looks like some of the pickup lineups that I play in.
Yeah, you're a long way from being 40. No offense.
This is true. On
I
the
mean,
wrong
so am
side.
I. I'm just just being honest. All right, L.A. Clippers mildly in the news. Last season, 50 wins, 32 losses. This season, ESPN projects them 50 wins, 32 losses. In the offseason, they got older. It's hard to do to get older, but they did. They traded Norman Powell to the Clippers in what was essentially
to the Heat.
To the Heat. You're right. They signed Brook Lopez, 37 years old. They re-signed James Harden. And in that trade for Norm Powell, they received back John Collins, who actually is only 28.
A whippersnapper on that roster.
Yeah, they signed Chris Paul, who's 40, to be a backup point guard, I assume. And then they
got Bradley Beal.
Got Bradley Beal on a buyout from the Suns, paying Bradley Beal $5.3 million this year, paying Brook Lopez $8.7. Decent value for those signings.
Did Beal get any endorsement deals?
We'll have to find out. By the way, on that, let me just say this. I got a whole bunch of people who are asking me about what's going to happen with the Clippers or trying to get me to agree what's going to happen with the Clippers. And, certainly Pablo Torre did more reporting. There's been more reporting by The Athletic and ESPN over the last few days. I don't mean to be flippant when I say this, but my belief, where I'm at on the Clippers is I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. People are saying to me, well, don't you think that what's come out is enough for them to be penalized? Maybe, I just think
one thing we know one thing. This is going to linger like a black cloud over them as training camp and the season starts. That we know.
Maybe.
I don't think it is really, honestly, because they're like, what are you going to ask? Like, yes, the story's going to exist, right? Media day, whoever we have there, the other outlets that are there. Kawhi will get asked about it, right? But like, what are you asking them about it on November 1st if the investigation's on? Are people going to go up to them every day and say, "Hey guys, where are you at on the investigation into your team?" Like, it's not. I don't think it's going to impact the players. I understand that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I don't think it's going to. I just don't think while the investigation is ongoing, there's going to be a lot of day-to-day impact on the Clippers.
I would agree.
Because there's only so much you can ask the guys about.
Also, their draft picks and stuff are mortgaged into the future still to the Thunder.
Well, I've got an idea about that, actually. I think if there's a punishment against the Clippers, the team that wins the NBA Cup should earn like a Clippers first-round pick. That's my marketing idea for the NBA.
I've heard you say worse ideas. But my point is, it's not like, will the Clippers get AJ DeBanza this year, or will they have their pick stripped?
Right.
Their picks for the next 3 years.
Right. There's not an immediacy to whatever the punishment will be from that standpoint.
Right. If there is going to be punishment,
right.
So, I mean, I agree. The trend has become more, we talked about in the last podcast, the trend has become more difficult for the Clippers to explain. And I remain in that spot.
But ultimately, it's one guy's decision until the investigation, as he pointed out last week, until the investigation's done, Adam Silver's not going to make a decision. And so we'll wait and see where it goes.
Right. Again,
right up until Pablo's explosive initial podcast on the matter, I did think the Clippers had a really good offseason. Yeah, they got older, but they got like quality vets who I think fit what they're doing. I think Brook Lopez is a really great fit as their backup center. I think playing John Collins off the bench alongside Lopez is a really nice addition there. I think Bradley Beal is a less expensive version of Norman Powell. Now, Bradley Beal on a maximum contract in Phoenix was a complete disaster. Bradley Beal on, what is it? Is this the taxpayer mid-level?
Yeah, the tax MLE.
Let me give you Brad Beal's stats from last year.
I was just about to do that. Go ahead.
Okay. He only played in 53 games. And look, his last 4 seasons, the games played, you've talked about this, Bontemps.
Yep.
40, 50, 53, 53.
Yep.
Okay. That's the last 4 years games played. He is only 31.
Yep.
Actually, he's 32. He turned 32 in the offseason. He's 32. I mean, he's not in his prime, But he averaged 17 points last year on 50% overall from the field, 39% on threes.
49% on threes?
39%. Did I say 49?
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought it was just under 40. Right.
Yeah. 50% overall.
Yep.
$5 million, as MacMahon said, very good value.
And straight up, he stunk defensively in Phoenix, but I think he's can be a better defensive player than he was. I think he will be more motivated. I think he will be happier. Those are not high bars to clear.
No, and look, the Clippers have a lot of risk, right, from a health standpoint. I mean, like an age standpoint. Kawhi Leonard, as we know, God knows how many games he's going to play.
Yeah.
James Harden is usually a very healthy, durable player. Yeah. He's now in his late 30s. Brook Lopez is old. Chris Paul is old. Like Bradley Beal, as you just pointed out, is injury prone. Right. Yeah. Bogdanovich is already hurt. Nick Batum is old. Like they have a lot of old players, right? But they have 10 to 11 good to very good players. They got a lot of depth. They should have good balance across their roster. And I think they're clearly a better team than the team they were last year. Mm-hmm. So
last year they defended. This team is not going to be as good defensively.
Why is this team not going to be as good defensively?
Hold on. I think they might be better. Dude,
yeah, why would they be?
Why
would
an absolute monster? Lopez
is definitely
big. Like, dude, they've got.
Well, number one, because they're old. Number two, because they're going to give a lot of minutes to John Collins and Bradley Beal, who are guys who are not known as good defenders.
Bradley Beal's not any worse as a defender than Norm Powell in a team system if he's motivated. And if John Collins is playing next to Brook Lopez off the bench, I think he'll be just fine as a rim protecting four off the bench. I think they clearly got better this summer.
Yeah, Collins is going to be playing against primarily second units. Between that and playing with Brook Lopez, I don't have massive concerns about him on the defensive end.
To me, the risk, if you're looking at the Clippers and you're taking a pessimistic view, it's the first thing you said. They're old and they're injury prone. And if you just bet on them not being healthy and these guys all getting worse, then yeah, their bets could backfire. But they have enough depth that I think they can mitigate rotating some of those guys out. And they still got Batum, Chris Dunn, Derek Jones, Zubac, Kawhi, if he can be on the court. Like, they've got some really, really good.
Clippers were the number 3 defense in the league last year. You're saying that this team's going to be as good or better than
I think they could be. They still got Ty Lue, Jeff Van Gundy also.
Yeah, I think they're a top 5 defense again, yes.
Okay. All right. I want to point something out. Kawhi, after the All-Star break last year, and as far as we know, he is not coming into this year injured. We'll never know because sometimes they come in and they're like, Kawhi had surgery 3 months ago. Did we forget to tell you that? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
No idea.
May say Kawhi may actually mention it in January. Oh, yeah, I tore an ACL last year. I forgot to tell you day to day. After the All-Star break last year, Kawhi averaged 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 52% from the field, and 44% on threes. That was post-All-Star. In the playoffs last year, which they had that tremendous 7-game series with Denver, which, that is a shame, is a sort of an indication there was no series in the Eastern Conference that was probably as intense as that first round series was.
No, there was not.
And part of that because of injury. But in the playoffs last year, in that 7-game series, Kawhi averaged 25 points, shot 54% in that series, 41% from 3-point range. Like, was headed for potentially monster postseason if they had gotten a different draw.
Hey, when Kawhi is healthy, he's worth every penny that you can pay him and all the pennies that you can't too.
There you go. Well
Great
done.
Job, MacMahon. Good job.
Proud of that.
All right.
Yeah, we can tell. You can tell the moments when MacMahon has spent 3 days thinking about the line he's going to say on the pod.
Sometimes
the smug look he's got on his face.
Sometimes the lines are very good.
I didn't say they weren't, but you can just tell the moments. You can just tell the moments when he's very pleased with himself for getting to the point he was hoping.
He wiggles his eyebrows. There
are some times that they're premeditated.
I wish I could play poker against you because you get a good hand. Your eyebrows. I wonder if MacMahon's got a good hand.
Ooh, MacMahon's got something.
All right, Golden State Warriors 48 and 34 last year. We have them projected at 48 and 34. Who did these projections? They're the same freaking records. What kind of analysis mumbo jumbo is this?
Hey, they weren't ESPN Plus, so you didn't have to pay anything extra for them, at least.
Hey, let me go over the Warriors offseason moves. That concludes the Warriors offseason moves. They have signed nobody yet. And I know that I actually, our producers at NBA Today, they keep saying the Warriors have done nothing in the offseason. They've made 0 moves. That's just not true. They have probably 3 players that they're for sure going to sign.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to sign Al Horford to the tax MLE, almost certainly. Mm-hmm. And then on minimums, Seth Curry, happens to be a certain guy's brother. D'Anthony Melton, who was there last year before he tore his ACL and got traded to Brooklyn. And then Gary Payton II, who has been with the Warriors for an extended period of time. So if you look at their team and they end up re-signing Jonathan Kuminga and adding those guys, it looks a lot different than right now when they have 8 players on the
As roster. Anthony Slater said, our new Warriors reporter said on NBA Today last week, Steph and Draymond and Jimmy know who's on the roster. They know who's on the roster is going to be. Steph is not like leaving the golf course to go take shots, wondering like, I don't know who my backup
am I going to play
is.
with? Yes.
Hey, does Slater have better hair than you, Wendy? I mean, he comes in with a pretty strong, he uses a lot of product. So
I think he may have better hair, but he definitely works harder on it than I do.
Oh, uses au natural.
Kind of. I mean, there's no product in it right now, buddy. We don't put product in the off season.
Me neither.
I know. What are you, number 1?
Yep.
Number 1.
Good old number 1. It's pretty fresh. I think I did it yesterday. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I would love to shave my head, not deal with it. All right.
Got everything figured out other than this Kuminga cluster bleed.
All right. So Shams Charania and Anthony Slater had a story that posted on ESPN on Monday where it was very intricate, Bontemps, in what the offers from the Warriors have been, and how the Warriors have increased their offers over the last couple of weeks. Kuminga, it's important. I want you to go over the offers that are sort of out there that for these guys reported. The Warriors, the qualifying offer that he has is $8 million. So that's the baseline offer that if he takes that, he gets a no trade clause. He can be traded, but has to give us permission.
She has available to him through October 1st.
Right. And although he doesn't have to sign by October 1st. The qualifying offer goes away, but he can sign.
He's still a restricted free agent after that. He just can't sign the qualifying offer.
Correct. And by the way, if he would sit out the whole season, he'd be a restricted free agent next year. So
that's right. You can't just hold out and become a free agent.
He's going to sign at some point.
That's right.
You've talked in the past about how when you're restricted free agents, you've got to consider the qualifying offer. That's the qualifying offer. Shams and Slater went over some of this today. Could you break it down what he's looking at?
Yeah, I mean, the basic thing is there's been a 2-year deal for about $48 million on the table for a while, 45 to 48 million, with the second year being a team option. So the first year's salary is somewhere between 21 or 22 million and 24 million, depending on where the final offer lands, right? So, and then Anthony and Shams reported today that there's also been offered a 3-year deal with the third year as a team option in the $75 million range. So again, you're talking about $48 million guaranteed through the first 2 years. My opinion, both of those offers are more than fair, and it would be malpractice if Jonathan Kuminga does not sign one of those deals, because let's say he signs the qualifying offer for $8 million. We've talked about this before. If you look at that 3-year deal, let's say the team option gets turned down, right? Let's just pretend that it doesn't exist. He's got $48 million guaranteed. To make that money back on his first contract after next summer, Jonathan Kuminga would have to get a salary starting at $40 million. When if he signs the qualifying offer, yes, it screws up the Warriors' chance of potentially turning him into a trade piece this season because he has full veto rights on a trade and he's making a lot less money. It also really kills Jonathan Kuminga's chances of having, to me, a significant role in the Warriors, because then the Warriors don't have any real willingness or need at that point to play ball with Jonathan Kuminga. So to me, if he does that, not only is he costing himself a ton of money he really has no way to get back, it also torpedoes, to me, his leverage of trying to get to another situation. Because the way I think he should be looking at this is get the most money he can get right now in one of these deals, whichever one he decides he wants to do the best, whether it's the 2+1 or the 2-1 with a team option in the third year, or a 1-year deal with a team option in the second year.
You went too fast there. I'm sorry. You're going to have to make it clear what you mean by two. You hear 2+1.
There's a team option on both deals. So whether he signs the 3-year deal with a team option or a 2-year deal with a team option, his goal should be to get on the Warriors on a bigger contract, because it will be in the Warriors' interest to play Jonathan Kuminga and make him look as good as they can, so they can use him to upgrade their roster this season, which is clearly what they want to do, and will allow Jonathan Kuminga to then get to a situation where he can have the ball in his hands and do the things he wants to do. If he signs a qualifying offer, he makes less money, puts himself in a worse situation, and to me, severely impacts his ability to get paid next summer. So while I understand he's not happy with the Warriors, doesn't want to be there or whatever, like, there's only one path this can realistically go. And I think the Warriors have been pretty fair throughout this whole thing and how they've handled it. And yes, it would be bad for them if he signs the qualifying offer. I also think if Jonathan Kuminga signs it, it's frankly an insane decision to make, because there's just no good reason that you'd turn down these offers as opposed to take the qualifying offer.
Well, the reason is so he could be an unrestricted free agent. That's what he believes. And he believes that if he could pick his situation, he could thrive. Now, I'm not agreeing with you.
He's going to make way less money.
Okay,
but now, you're making this about the money. He's miserable. He is absolutely. Right. If he wasn't miserable, no. But
is he going to be less miserable, making no money and not playing?
I hear it's a bad situation. It's a breakup that needs to happen sooner than later.
It's not a bad situation.
It's a terrible situation for him. He was getting freaking DNP CDs in the playoffs. The coach doesn't want him. The coach doesn't believe in him. The coach has publicly said over and over he does not fit with the core of this
Kuminga
team.
has publicly said he doesn't want to play for the coach.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, it's a bad situation. It is a divorce that's going to happen. And, Shams compared it today on NBA Today to, everybody knows it's going to end in divorce, but they're staying together for the kids. I've done that. It sucks. Trust me. It sucks. Bad.
We're not.
Dude, it's a bad situation for him. And what Kuminga's doing right now is basically saying, hey, we all know this is going to end in a trade. We know, you're asking me, do I even want to be here? Do you even want me? The answer is no on both fronts, by the way. So what are we even pretending about? And he's basically saying, look, there's 2 trades available to you. Royce O'Neal and second-round compensation.
Those trades aren't,
okay,
again,
zip it. Royce O'Neal and second-round compensation, or Malik Monk and a future first-round pick. Now, we all know future first-round picks, there's a lot of, like, what's the protection? What's the year? What's that look like? But Kuminga wants to be traded now.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga has no control over the situation. He's a restricted free agent. He's getting offered way more money. Again, I understand he doesn't want to play for the Warriors, but like, the entire coverage of this story has acted like Jonathan Kuminga is a really good player. He's not, to this point in his career, even a good player. He's a potentially good player.
He has shown when he can get a big role that he can put up numbers. We can debate about.
But okay.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Bontemps, I agree with you. So is a better deal going to come along then? So, dude, because I'm just telling you, if Kuminga's on the roster to start the season, it is going to be a bad situation for everybody involved. It's going to be.
So just to point something out, the Suns have made an offer. He met, he's a free agent. He met with the Suns. They made an offer. He met with the Kings. The Kings made an offer, as you broke those down, MacMahon. Both of those offers are for less money this year than the Warriors have offered. The Warriors have, and the reason we know is because you can only offer so much in a sign and trade. The players that they are signing and trading make it offers, the Malik Monk and Royce O'Neal mean that if he did those deals, that he would be making less than he could take with the Warriors. I agree that it's not about the money with him. I don't think he's chasing the money. The Warriors already have more on the table than he can make with the Suns or the Kings. He wants the Suns or the Kings because he's going to be the starting power forward and they're going to build their team, or at least some of their offense around him. The middle path that Slater and Shams talk about is you can waive, if you sign a 1-year deal you can waive your no trade clause. That is something that is now legal. It didn't used to be. Now it's legal. So one thing that they raise is, can the Warriors buy him out of that no trade clause? In other words, can they give him a 1-year deal, but instead of for the $8 million qualifying offer, can they give him something more? And then in January, he can be traded. What's that number? I don't know. Is it 15 million? Is it 20 million?
He's already getting offered more than that in a 1-year deal.
Right. But in that 1-year deal, in that 1-year deal, there's a team option. So he wouldn't get the no trade clause. They could still trade him.
Sure. Well, no, he would have to waive the no trade clause. It's the exact same thing. That's what the argument's over. They would like him to waive the no trade clause so then he could get traded. So again, he's getting offered more money in that deal.
Right, but he's not taking that deal for months.
It ain't
He's
about
not taking
the
the
money.
No, MacMahon, this is not logic. There's no logic involved here. This is
It
Jonathan
is about
Kuminga.
logic. He's miserable. He doesn't want to be in Golden State. He knows they don't want him. He doesn't want to maximize his earnings. He wants to get in a situation where he feels like he can thrive. Whether you agree or disagree about his ability, his talent, whatever, he wants to go find out. He's effed around long enough now. He wants to find out.
Okay, good job again with another line. The point is, the middle path that was just laid out is for him to take less money while doing the same thing they want him to do on the 1-year deal with a team option for the second year.
Yeah, but if he has a dynamic, great year, he knows on the other deal he's a free agent. If he on the 1-year deal, if it's a 1+1, he's still locked in. It's not the same deal.
It's okay, except he's making like $8 million more this year, and he's guaranteeing himself almost in that scenario.
No, but
close
you
to
heard
$50
what
million.
MacMahon said.
Dude, you're watching his pockets. He's not worried about his pockets. He wants minutes. He wants opportunity. He wants
yes,
the ball.
and again,
he wants to be with a team that wants him.
The best path to that happening. The best path to that happening, truly, for him to get out of Golden State is to do one of those 2 contracts with Golden State. Because in that scenario where he signs a deal with Golden State that's designed in theory to trade him, right? Golden State will be motivated to play him, to have him look good, to have him be a more attractive trade piece to turn into something later. If he has a temper tantrum and says, I'm just going to sign the qualifying offer because I don't want to be here and I'm going to be a free agent next summer, then I can easily see a scenario where we have a repeat of last year where Jonathan Kuminga, who has repeatedly been a guy who has not been able to fit into an ancillary role on a team because he's a guy who's much better in his mind with the ball in his hands, will end up being marginalized on this Golden State roster. He'll be making very little money, so there won't be really a lot of avenues to trade him. And he'll go through the season not playing much, and he'll get to next summer, and yes, he'll be an unrestricted free agent, but he'll have lost out on a ton of money, and he'll make less money next summer.
Hold on. You are putting all of the fault at the feet of a guy who's coming off of his rookie deal. Do you think the Warriors have handled this situation well?
I never said the Warriors have handled it perfectly. They haven't. But this isn't about who's handled it perfectly. It's restricted free agency it goes against the player. Okay? It's a system that's created to not give the player very much leverage. So in this situation, I would say this summer, Golden State has handled this as well as they can. They're giving Jonathan Kuminga every dollar they can just about give him under the second apron and having this team put together. He makes a lot more money than he would make on the qualifying offer. And again, if he is signed to this contract, we all agree they would like to turn him into another player, right? Or some other bigger name or whatever.
Somebody better than Malik Monk, clearly.
Well, trading for Malik Monk does not make sense for Golden State. Trading for Royce O'Neal does not make sense for Golden State. Having Jonathan Kuminga on this deal and then having him be used in a trade to get somebody that they think fits their team down the road makes more sense for them to do that. And again, it's giving Jonathan Kuminga as much money as he can get and putting him in a position where for everybody's sake, they'll be trying to make him look as good as possible this season.
The Malik Monk deal, what exactly are the terms on the first round pick? That's a big thing.
It doesn't matter because they've rejected it. So
they're not. Right. It's not an unprotected. I could say with near certainty, it's not an unprotected case.
That's why I said, what are the terms?
Right.
All right. Kuminga started 10 games last year. That's a lot of sound and fury for a guy who started 10 games.
Okay. Yes, that's also.
I will point out that for all talk about how old the Clippers are, The Warriors are paying $140 million to 3 guys this year that are 35 or older, and Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry investment, $60 million. It's probably underpaying him. Curry still had a pretty damn good year last year. They played really well with Butler after the trade. And had Steph not tweaked his hamstring in the playoffs, we don't know what would happen in that series. Minnesota obviously was playing some great basketball down the stretch last year. We don't know what happened, but, I'm sure that they're thinking about, I'm sure the excitement level for the Warriors is that we're adding Al Horford. We're bringing back some other role players, and Steph and Jimmy were really great when they were healthy. Last year.
Like 22-5, 23-5. I don't have the exact record in front of me.
I think it was 22-5. Yeah,
but they were damn good with those 2 guys in the starting lineup. Which, not to beat a dead horse, to me is like just figure out a way to get to the Kuminga divorce now and focus on the guys that are going to be there, that you've seen in a small sample size have success together. I mean, obviously Draymond and Steph, you've seen win titles together, but with Jimmy, like you've got a chance. I mean, there's a lot of ifs and maybes and health of the old dudes and all that stuff, but they've got a chance to be a threat in the West, but not if their whole vibe is going to be a complete mess. Because
there are better chances if they can turn Jonathan Kuminga into a significant player. And Malik Monk is not a significant player. And if they have Jonathan Kuminga on one of these contracts, they can do that. And almost certainly it will be to a situation where Jonathan Kuminga will get what he wants.
All right. Sacramento Kings. Last year, 40-42, missed the playoffs. Their run of over 500 seasons crashed at 2. It was a fun run while it lasted. Doug Christie returns as head coach.
Yeah, fired their coach. Brought in a former
The big
King.
trade they made last year, obviously, is bring in Zach LaVine. This summer, they traded Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric. If they did anything else,
Schroeder.
I forget. Oh, Dennis Schroeder.
Eurobasket MVP, Dennis Schroeder.
Eurobasket MVP. They used the primary amount of their free agent money on Dennis Schroeder. Bontemps, you got a little reaction from what you said last week about how you thought if Schroeder won the MVP of the Eurobasket that he would be a Hall of Famer. He did.
I don't
he had
think
a great.
People understand how the Hall of Fame works.
He had a great second half of the title game. Turkey was ahead early in the game. Şengün had a terrific game. Former NBA player Cedi Osman, who overcame an injury during Eurobasket, had a great game. But Franz Wagner and Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder had a double-double with points and rebounds, points and assists. Yep. Was named MVP. So he holds
hit the game-sealing shot in the final 20 seconds.
And he is just so dynamic playing. He's kind of like Patty Mills, but more effective than Patty Mills.
Patty Mills he's the most accomplished German national team player ever. And obviously Dirk was amazing, but like this guy's been a World Cup MVP, a Eurobasket MVP. Like Schroeder is a historically awesome FIBA player, and he's a solid NBA player, but he ain't like the Sacramento Kings aren't going to make the playoffs because they signed Dennis Schroeder. Breaking news: the Sacramento Kings aren't going to make the playoffs.
He's a journeyman. He got traded twice last year.
Look, there are 6 guys in the history of the sport who have won Eurobasket and World Cup MVP. 4 of them everybody's heard of: Drazen Petrovic, Tony Kukoc, Dirk Nowitzki, and Pau Gasol, all obvious Hall of Famers. Sergei Belov, who was a Russian who played in the 60s and 70s, was one of the best European players of all time. And Drazen Dilipovic, who's another guy who played for Serbia, who played in the 60s and 70s. All 6 of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. And for people that don't know how this works, it has nothing to do with Dennis Schroeder's NBA career. There is a committee, the Hall of Fame, that votes on international players only. And that committee will eventually vote Dennis Schroeder into the Hall of Fame. I feel very confident in saying that. A, because he's won these 2 awards, and B, the guy's still got several years left, and Germany has got a solid team and is probably still going to be a factor for these tournaments coming up for a while.
It was a huge disappointment that the Germans did not medal in Paris. A huge disappointment.
Yeah, right.
You know what I think is actually
come to LA ready to play.
I think the more interesting current Sacramento King Hall of Fame debate will be DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I agree.
DeMar DeRozan, I'm looking up real quick where he ranks among all-time leading scorers, but it is pretty high up there. And by the way, we'll see if Russ is on the Kings. Russ is 20. DeMar DeRozan's the 25th all-time leading scorer in NBA history,
with many more years probably.
How far
to
is
go.
he behind Carmelo Anthony?
He's at 25, 292. Melo's at 25, 289. So he's got about
going to pass him in a few
3,000
months.
points. No,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
I mean,
28, 289 is Melo. So he's
right. So
Well,
he's got a year or two behind him.
Melo's
about
the strongest
3,000
part of
points.
Melo's the two strongest part of Melo's case for his Hall of Fame are his scoring, which DeRozan is nearing, and the fact that Durant is the greatest Team USA player ever. Melo's right there. Melo
Yeah.
won 3 golds.
Yeah.
LeBron.
Well, and Melo also won a national championship and was awesome his 1 year at Syracuse.
Correct. That's true. LeBron got his
DeRozan's got a
third
World
gold.
Cup gold medal. He's got an Olympic gold medal, and
That's
he's
right.
going to end up with a boatload of points.
I'll just say
Right.
guys
LeBron-
who are
Talk
guys,
about another Sacramento King. Mitch Richmond is in the Hall of Fame, and DeMar DeRozan is going to end up with a better resume than Mitch Richmond by a lot.
every
So-
single guy who's in the top 25 all time scoring who's eligible is in the Hall of Fame. And the active guys, LeBron, pretty sure he'll make it. KD, Harden, Russ, and Steph. Those are the other active
Yeah,
guys.
they're obviously
they're all
making it.
no-brainers.
I mean, DeMar will be almost certainly a Hall of Famer eventually.
You have to go all the way, as far as eligible guys, you have to go all the way down to, is LaMarcus Aldridge eligible yet?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
because
he is.
No, I mean with the new rules, I guess he might be because they keep every year it's shorter.
Yes, he's
well,
eligible, I'm pretty
it's
sure.
either LaMarcus at 47 or Joe Johnson at 50 among
Right.
eligible guys who've yet
Is Joe
to.
Johnson a Hall of Famer, Bontemps?
I mean, if it was up to me, I love Joe Johnson and DeMar. I don't think either of them would be Hall of Famers if I was creating a Hall of Fame today. But I think if you look at the criteria for how people have gotten into the Hall of Fame, Mitch Richmond's in the Hall of Fame. He's got a clearly better resume than Mitch Richmond, and he's going to end up as one of the top 15 scorers of all time. So, yeah, I think he'll eventually get in.
Yeah. What do we think about with all these Hall of Famers? But what are the Kings going to do with them? What are the Kings going to do with them?
I mean, look, the Kings have a bunch of guys who are durable and should be on the court. And I think the best thing they have going for them is that a lot of their other competition to try to get in the playoffs has a lot of questions from a health and availability standpoint, right? Are the Clippers going to have their guys healthy? Are the Mavs going to have their guys healthy? Is Victor going to be healthy enough for the Spurs? And what are the rest of the Spurs going to look like? Are Luka and LeBron going to be healthy? All of those teams in that group, I would say Sacramento's probably got the lowest ceiling of any of those teams. But like Sabonis is always going to play. DeMar's always going to play. Schroeder's always going to play. Keegan Murray's been incredibly durable. I'm curious to see about his extension over the next month. I'm not sure if that'll get done or not, but wouldn't surprise me if it did. They've always held him in pretty high regard in Sacramento. He's their one quality perimeter defender on the team.
Although it's a new front office, new head coach, but yeah.
It is, but
he's a
he's a
3-and-D guy. These guys get paid.
He's a good young player. I suspect they'll probably get some deal done. But like I would say they have the lowest floor of that group of teams pretty clearly, but they are the lowest ceiling pretty clearly, but they also might have the highest floor because they have a bunch of solid players who will probably be available, and that could be enough to, if some of these teams have injuries, for them to get into the 8th spot. But
DeMar DeRozan has 12 consecutive years of averaging at least 20 points.
yeah,
12.
How many playoff
And
series
in
wins?
Well, that's not the question we're talking about. How many series wins did Mitch Richmond have? As long as
DeMar
I
is
think he'll be a
blows
Hall of
away
Famer,
Mitch
but-
Richmond's. I think he will easily.
No, I think
based
he'll
on
be a
his
Hall of
career
Famer just based on sheer volume of scoring. I think
agree.
that
There's plenty of you just listed the volume score. A lot
agree.
of those guys have volume scores.
But I think that the Kings' best chance to make the playoffs would be to move back to Cincinnati and go to the Eastern Conference. So they ain't
that's
making the
true.
playoffs in the West this year.
Well, I listen, I wouldn't pick the Kings to make it either. I'd also put Memphis in that group, right? There's just a lot of teams in that grouping from like 6 to 11 that have questions. And so I think Sacramento's going to win somewhere between 40 and like 44 games. But if there's a bunch of injuries, 44 games might be enough to get the 7 or 8 seed. So they could maybe sneak in. But you look at where their team was a couple of years ago to where it is now, it hasn't been a great trajectory to put him out.
Here's my question. The last time we heard from Domantas Sabonis, he was not happy about the state of the team.
Do you blame him?
They said they wanted a point guard.
Let's keep an eye on Domantas Sabonis's mood about the state of the Kings going.
Well, here's
forward.
another question. Speaking of that, let's say Domantas Sabonis says, "Get me out of Sacramento." What is Domantas Sabonis' trade value
on that contract? Right.
I mean, he's a good player, but he's kind of like the Trae Young conversation in the De'Aaron Fox, LaMelo Ball conversation we had last week.
Into his contract extension, he's making 42 this year, 45 next year, 46 the year after that.
I mean, he's a very good player,
29.
but he is a undersized 5 that doesn't really protect the rim and can't shoot. So, like, what?
He's one of the best rebounders of this decade.
He's a very good player who's never made the second round of the playoffs, and he to win in the playoffs with Sabonis at the 5. There's some real massive challenges there, and he doesn't shoot it well enough to play the 4. Like, there's a reason that the Miles Turner Sabonis thing was always wonky and didn't work. He has to play the 5, but then there's a pretty low ceiling in terms of playoff success with him as your 5.
The irony of this is, I think the one team that would make some sense for him is the team that just traded for De'Aaron Fox. And if you had him playing next to Victor, doing Domantas Sabonis things, with Victor obviously protecting the rim and being able to shoot, like, to your point, McMahon, that's the Miles Turner thing on, like, super soldier serum or something, right? So, like, but again, like, are they going to trade for Domantas Sabonis? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to even ask for a trade, but it's like he's another one of these guys, like Trae Young, like LaMelo Ball, like Tyler Hero, like, very good player.
I would say like Lauri Markkanen, even, just because of the contract.
Hey, listen to these stats.
Lowry can maybe fit other places, can fit better, I think, more places than some of those guys can in theory. Obviously, to go back to what we talked about last week, he's got to play better than he did last year. But there's a lot of really good players in situations where it's just unclear what their market's going to be based off their skill set and how much they can actually raise your ceiling.
Listen to these stats. 74 games played, 23 points a game, 51% from the field, 45% from 3 on 7 attempts a game, 83% from the line. That was Zach LaVine last year in Chicago and the Kings. He had a very quiet, because he got dumped, he had a very quiet, very strong year. Now, obviously, he wasn't powering either team to victory.
Yeah.
But Zach LaVine had a very good year last year. If you're looking for a reason to believe in the Kings, it's that Zach LaVine was pretty good last season.
I think the Kings have multiple candidates that can be quality selections in your fantasy basketball draft that don't necessarily fit well together and can't stop a nosebleed.
All right. The Phoenix Suns. Speaking of teams
that can't stop a nosebleed or don't fit well together.
We projected them at 30-52. Matt Ishbia thinks that projection is insane.
Well, Matt Ishbia made a great point that the experts got it wrong about the Suns last couple of years. So, boy, the experts being down on them proves that the Suns are destined for greatness this year. You got the experts out of the way in the front office. I enjoy how Ishbia has turned experts into like an insulting term.
All right. In the offseason, they were a little active. They signed Devin Booker to a gigantic 2-year contract extension. He is now on the books in 2029-30 for $69 million. They obviously traded Kevin Durant for Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green, and the number 10 overall pick, which they used on Kaman Maluach, which they are very excited about. They traded for Mark Williams with the Charlotte Hornets. Thereby, they think bringing in Maluach and Mark Williams that they will dramatically improve their rim defense, which they thought was a big problem last year. And so they will play Jalen Green and Devin Booker as their starting backcourt. Neither one of them pure point guards. Both of them can handle the ball. Neither one of them are the best at it. So they believe that they are vastly underregarded, because they think that their moves really help them. They signed Jordan Ott to be their new head coach, first-time head coach, and totally restructured their front office, putting Brian Gregory in as their general manager. I get why they made a bunch of changes and they have a bunch of new faces. So I get why it was such a huge disappointment the last 2 years when they put together this massive, expensive team. I get why the new faces create some excitement, MacMahon. But
well, hold on. Where's the excitement been? Who's excited about the Phoenix Suns?
They are excited. Brian Gregory is excited. Jordan Ott is excited. Matt Ishbia are excited.
Other than Ishbia and the people on his payroll, who is excited about the Phoenix Suns? Seriously.
I'm not excited about the Phoenix Suns.
Like, dude, they're not going to be a good team. Their draft picks are some of the most valuable assets in the NBA right now, and they have none of them of their own moving forward for a while. Bontemps, what's your line about the state of the Suns?
Oh, that it's been the worst situation in the history of the league.
I mean, other than that, yeah, lots of excitement.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand why they moved on from Kevin Durant this summer. However, Devin Booker and Jalen Green together, I really do not like the fit there at all.
You have no vision.
Neither does Jalen Green.
I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what happens with Mark Williams and if he gets an extension. He is a good offensive player who has struggled defensively despite being big. He's also had a series of injury issues. We'll see if he can stay on the court. If you look at these other teams in the West, I just don't see a world where they're going to be better than 12th or 13th.
Well, that's the best point, because these changes may in fact help them. They may be better than we think, but the margin for error is nil.
Well,
just good enough to lose by 9 every night instead of 12.
To me, Sacramento clearly has a better roster than the Suns. I don't even really think it's up for debate.
I agree with that.
And Sacramento, we just talked about how Sacramento, if a lot of things break right in their favor for other teams, they can maybe be 8th.
They can't rely on Maluach to play a significant. He's not going to be ready to play.
The Suns will be the worst team that's trying to be good this season. The only teams worse than the Suns will be teams that are tanking. That's a fair point.
Well, the Pelicans have injuries. I mean, I'll
give you that.
They don't have injuries right now. I mean, I guess DeJounte Murray is hurt. But
they will have injuries if they're the Pelicans.
Sure, they are. But the Pelicans traded their pick, and in theory, they will not be not trying to win this year.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
But again, if that's your competition, it's sort of explaining the situation that you're in anyway.
It's a bad place to be. And look, Devin Booker can play point guard. He's not bad at it. It's just that when you play Devin Booker at point guard, you take away from what he actually really is elite at doing. And so, you're doing Booker a disservice by making him play point guard. Jalen Green can't play point guard. Lord knows Dylan Brooks ain't going to help with the ball handling. It's just a...
What if they could trade Royce O'Neal for Jonathan Kuminga? What would you think then?
I would criticize the Warriors for that deal.
All right, fair enough. All right, thank you very much. I gotta go. Thank you very much to our producers, Jackson and Rafa. Thank you to Bontemps. Thank you to MacMahon. Thank you for listening and watching the Hoop Collective. We will talk to you later this week.
Adios, amigos.